there's something which happened in 2014. Now, when the coup happened in 2014, the Maidan protest and the ousting by force of the president, which was there, and the reinstating of a new president, which was there in 2014, there was a lot of things, a lot of suspicious things going on. But one of the strangest things that happened during that time is that Pope Francis did a ceremony where, with a boy and a girl, a young boy dressed in blue and a young girl dressed in red, very, very powerful symbolism, stood at his window and released two doves. The boy released one dove and the girl released another dove for peace in Ukraine. And when that happened, as the doves were flying away from the window, the doves were attacked by two birds. One black bird, a kind of crow type bird, attacked one of the doves, and another, a kind of seagull bird, attacked the other dove. And it was very dramatic because here you had these two kind of scavenger birds, these kind of scavenger birds that were now attacking the two doves, as if the prayer was being interrupted by something, as if the request for peace was being taken up by these scavenger birds, these aspects of heaven, or these aspects of what is above, which picks up things, which is the more kind of tyrannical and even scavenger aspect of heaven, the darker aspect of a structure, let's say. And so since then, I have, of course, been extremely attentive to what is going on there, especially because, a lot of people think that these types of omens, of course, are silly, they're ridiculous. But I would be less skeptical if I were you. After spending many, many years listening to my videos, for some of you, I hope that you would understand that symbolism happens, and that the fact that this happened and the fact that it follows an almost mythical structure, that this event has a mythical structure, and that not only does it have a mythical structure, but that it's shown itself to be true. That is, that the peace in Ukraine is not there and it's not happening. And not only that, but there is a sense that this event, these things that are happening in Ukraine, and everybody kind of has this feeling that there's something, of course, bigger going on, and that there's an unraveling happening, an unraveling of a certain narrative, an unraveling of, let's say, American supremacy. We're not sure exactly what it is, but there definitely is a feeling like something is breaking down, and that the consequences of what is happening are not going to be short-term consequences. And the fact that President Putin went out and did such a daring act of invasion is not going to play out well. It's not going to play out well. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to play out, but that it seems like we are ramping up from, we are ramping up from the COVID moment into war. And this happened 100 years ago, folks. I hope you understand that these patterns, they play themselves back over and over. There's a relationship between epidemics and war, and there's all these strange relationships of how these things kind of play into each other and how they move from one space to the next. And so the conflict, and you can see it, everybody knows if you pay attention to attention, how the war on attention and the war of attention moved radically from COVID to Russia within the space of a week. Within the space of 1 week, COVID almost doesn't exist. And now all of a sudden, all our attention is moved from a war on a virus to now an actual war that is happening. And people's rhetoric is inflamed, and people's attitudes are frightening, to say the least. I guess if you ask me if I knew this was coming, I knew this was coming. I didn't know how it was going to play out, but I knew that the pattern of what happened a century ago was never solved. The problems that were brought up, the issues that kind of came about weren't solved, and they're playing out again. And we can see how the political aspect of this conflict is much bigger than just a conflict between Russia and Ukraine, and has an entire, the positioning that people are taking has a weird globalist sense to it, whereas it's difficult to oppose what Russia is doing without falling into something else, something which is frightening as well.